Welcome to the series where I test out money-making methods from the OSRS Wiki. Feel free to leave suggestions on which moneymaker you'd like to see next. And also, if you didn't already know, I have a nice playlist that I've created that has all of the previous moneymakers that I've already tried, so go ahead and check it out if you haven't already. With that being said, let's get into the video. So for today's video, we will be taking a look at one of the OG moneymakers from way back in the day, and that is to kill Ankous. Now, I'm not sure if this was a great moneymaker back in the day, but I do know that some people did do this. Including me. I'm pretty sure I went down there and tried to kill these guys, even though I was severely underleveled, but still, I did attempt it. And while the profit doesn't look like it's going to be a lot, it's moneymakers like these that really take me down memory lane, so I really wanted to do this one and see if we could maybe prove this wiki wrong, and I'm pretty sure we will make more than what it says here simply because we are going to be bringing the best equipment that I can afford and that I have access to. Now there are multiple places where you can kill these Ankous, but the person who suggested this did say to do it in the stronghold, so that is where I am going. Now, I am aware that there are two strongholds. There is the stronghold of security, which is where I'm going, and then there's also the stronghold Slayer caves that is next to Neve. But since you do need a Slayer task to kill them there, I'll be doing it in the security stronghold. And like I said earlier, it'll be nice to get hit by that nostalgia. As for the gear setup, I am bringing the best strength bonus that I can afford and that I have access to, which is full bandos, primordial boots, ferocious gloves, berserker ring, the Abyssal Whip along with the Verdant Defender, the Rada's Blessing 4, the Fire Cape, the Nate's Not Face Guard, and I am bringing the Salve Amulet E, which gives me a 20% boost against the undead, which the Ankous are undead, so we'll be getting a nice damage boost from that. As for the inventory, I am bringing my Saradomin God Sword, and I'm bringing 3 Divine Super Strength Potions. I was originally thinking about bringing these Super Combat Potions, but then I figured that we really don't need the attack or defense boost in the security stronghold. I figured that strength will be more than enough for those max hits. I'm also bringing the gem bag for some of the gems that they could possibly drop, the herb sack for the multiple herbs that they drop, the rune pouch for the death, blood, and law runes, and my max cape to teleport out of there. Now from those 3, I'd say that the rune pouch and the herb sack are going to be the most important. The rune pouch is going to store, I think, the bulk of the money that we'll be making here at the Ankous, and the herb sack has the potential to store some of the Ranar weeds or some of the lower tier herbs that you can get here, especially if you are planning on camping these for a very long time. Now currently I am running through the security stronghold that is located in Barbarian Village. I ran south from Edgeville, and now I'm just taking these portals through the caves to speed my way through it. Now obviously if you haven't gone through this place at all, then you will have to navigate the tunnels, but I'm really hoping that you've done that because who wants to miss out on those fancy boots or those fighting boots? And I'm pretty sure we all know that the fancy boots are the superior variant. Unless of course they do come out with fancy fighting boots in the future. But here we are in the last level of the security stronghold. There are 4 levels, and this is where the Ankous are located, along with some other high-level monsters. Now, I will be doing this on a members world because you will make a lot more money from some of the drops that you don't get in free-to-play worlds, so that's also why this place is very empty. On free-to-play worlds, you might find more people here, but I'm not entirely sure. I do know for a fact, however, that the level 2 in this stronghold is heavily populated with people and bots training at the flesh crawlers, so it might translate to this area as well. Now like I said before, this does bring a lot of memories. I did used to train at the security stronghold for a long period of time, and it's just nothing but good memories here. I remember starting off on level 1 training on the goblins and the minotaurs that are down there, then switching over to level 2 where the flesh crawlers are, and then level 3 where I believe it was the spiders that I would attack there, but even those spiders would do some crazy damage, so I think that was the extent of my training here. I'm pretty sure I came up here and tried to kill a couple Ankous, but I was, definitely underleveled, so I wasn't able to last very long. And this was all done in free-to-play, which, again, I want to reiterate that killing these Ankous in free-to-play really isn't the way to go for money, because you miss out on the money makers like the death runes and the blood rune drops. Also, you're limited to F2P gear, so you won't be able to hit as hard, so this might not be worth it in free to play. And to be honest, you might not even think that it's worth it to do it in members, but I mean, I think it's worth the nice little nostalgia trip. You do tend to get some weird drops down here, like the weapon poison, which isn't worth a lot. The black knives drop that you get, I think you get one at a time, so it's really not worth picking it up. Throughout the video, you'll see me drop some of the loot to make space for more expensive loot, but for the most part, I did keep a lot of the stackables since it doesn't really take up any room. You have the mithril ore, the adamantite arrows, I believe it's the pure essence that really isn't worth too much. I think I did drop that later on. And of course, you have these stackable runes that I am holding in the rune pouch. You also have these untradeable drops known as the left skull half, and I did pick up as many as I could. These are actually useful for charging the skull scepter that I'll show you later on in the video. The skull scepter is a nice fashionscape item, but it also does have a handy teleport of teleporting you right outside this security stronghold in Barbarian Village. And in order to make the scepter, you actually have to get different pieces of the scepter from the different levels of this security stronghold. After that, you can use pieces like this to recharge all of the teleports. Now, if you wanted to do this moneymaker and you didn't have access to high level gear, or you weren't exactly maxed out on stats, they do drop food here, so even if you don't bring your own food, you could potentially last just off of the bass that they drop and the fried mushrooms. But luckily for us, since we are maxed out and we were wearing some very highly defensive gear, they didn't really hit too often, and whenever they did, I could just heal with the Saradomin Godsword. And just like in the last video with the Kurasks, the Saradomin Godsword definitely helped out in keeping us basically alive the entire time. I'm pretty sure we could stay here forever until we run out of inventory space. As far as prayers go, I left piety on until it ran out, and then I would just refill it with the Saradomin Godsword. You could decide to flick the prayer on and off to conserve your prayer, but since this is kind of an AFK moneymaker, I just decided to leave it on the entire time since we did have the SGS to heal us back up to full. The same can be said for the Protect from Melee prayer. If you, of course, are lower leveled and you don't have the best gear, Protect from Melee can potentially help out here, especially if you bring some prayer potions if you feel like AFKing. Also, if you don't feel like using melee for this moneymaker, I believe there are some safe spots here in the security stronghold, so you can use ranged or even mage if you really want to. And if you are on a Slayer task for these Ankous, it's important to note that the Slayer helmet and the Salve amulet do not stack together. Besides some of the drops that you see in my inventory, the Ankous also drop the Hard Clue, and I believe the drop rate is 1 in 512, so it is quite rare. And now that I look back at this video, I think bringing the Bone Crusher also would have been nice, considering that they do drop bones every single time we get a kill, and we weren't picking them up, so could potentially get some free prayer XP if we were to bring that. But ultimately, that's up to you whether you feel like using your Bone Crusher charges on these regular bones. And with that being said, we have reached the end of our 1 hour of killing these Ankous, and here is all of the loot that we got from the 1 hour. Just over 200k, not bad. We got some herbs, some runes, some robes that we picked up, and then of course some other stackables as well. We can now go ahead and head over to the Grand Exchange to sell all of our hard-earned loot, and like with most of my videos, I'm just going to be putting it in there for a very low amount to sell them off quickly. I don't advise doing this, especially if you have quite the loot tab built up from countless hours of, I guess, killing these Ankous if you do choose to do it. Definitely put them in there for at least market price and possibly even a little bit over. You can leave the items in the GE overnight, and when you come back in the morning, you might find out that you sold off all your stuff for a little extra more profit. And with the last item sold, we can see that we have our entire cash deck right here, and it's pretty close to the price check that we did. I'm also showing you all of the left half skulls that I got throughout this 1 hour. So 206k along with, I believe, 13 left skull halves that we can use to charge this scepter that you see right here, which I think looks really cool. Again, you use this scepter to teleport right out of the security stronghold, so if you really wanted to camp there for long periods of time, it might be worth bringing this. That way when you bank, you can teleport straight back to the security stronghold. And you shouldn't really ever run out of teleports to the area, because as long as you get 1 skull per trip, that's 3 teleports back to the area. But now we can go ahead and calculate the total profit that we made over the 1 hour. So if we take the cost of supplies, which I just bought, I believe it was the Divine Super Strength Potions, we get around 6,804 GP. We subtract that from the money that we made, which was 206,593 GP. We get a grand total profit of 199,789 GP, so just under 200k. So we managed to make almost double what the wiki said, but again, I don't think the wiki was taking into account almost maxed out gear and max stats. And if we're looking at this from a money perspective, which is what the series is all about, it's probably not worth doing since there are other moneymakers that could make you a lot more money with less requirements. But nevertheless, I still had fun doing this. Here is also a look at the XP that we got. We got a nice bit in attack, defense, strength, and hit points. This is of course because we were on shared with the whip. And here is also a look at the loot tab that we got from 387 Ankous kills in the 1 hour. I just want to say thanks for checking out the video, and if you enjoyed it, please consider giving it a thumbs up and possibly a subscription. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next episode.